Ovo što se događa u Americi sa ovim luđakom Trumpovim. Znači, ovo je razotkrivanje pred čitavim svijetom što je to cult-like. Što znači biti uvučen u nekakav ideološki kult? Bilo da je riječ o politici, vjeri ili bilo čemu sličnom. Kada slijediš smrtnog čovjeka no matter what. Znači, spreman si dati život za njega jer smatraš da je Bogom dan. Evo, da je Bogom dan, da je Bogom poslan i onda odjednom shvatiš, pa nije to baš tak. Znači, to se Taylor Green dogodilo, prosvjetljenje, ajmo to tak reći, ili se radi o spašavanju vojnika Ryana, spašavanju vlastite guzice zapravo. Ali, žena je rekla, usprotivila se monstrumu, usprotivila mu se i šta rade ti kultovi? Znači, odmah počinje obezvređivanje. Ona mu je bila desna ruka. Znači, desna ruka najglasnija. I ti možeš u kultu, pogotovo ovim vjerskim, sad govorimo o ovim evanđelskim takozvanim crkvama, možeš biti sve, možeš biti preljubnik, možeš biti pedofil, možeš biti kriminalac, lopov, sve će ti se oprostiti. Ali nikada ti se neće oprostiti suprotstavljanje vođi. To se ne prašta. To se ne prašta.
He would be one of those people. So sometimes you just never know. Let's continue on here. Now, the cascade of perceived transgressions culminated in the president's tarring her as Marjorie Trader Green in a social media post on November 15th. 6 days later, she announced in a video that she would resign from Congress on January 5th, a year before her term ends. In early December, as she prepared to make her exit, I met Green for the first of 2 long interviews in which she was remarkably forthcoming about her frustrations with the president and his anger with her. So, we're going to get into the Epstein part here. Green had other reservations about the administration's agenda. While she initially supported Donald Trump's tariffs, she became fretful when carpet and flooring companies in her district said they were now less able to procure certain chemicals that were available only overseas. Remember I warned everybody about that? You guys remember? Okay. She complained that the hundreds of thousands of college student visas being issued by the administration to Chinese nationals gave them an unfair leg up on American students. And though Trump campaigned on ending transgender medical care for children, as president, she says he offered little support to Green's bill, the Protect Children Innocence Act, which would do exactly that. Only when Green threatened to oppose the continuing resolution in September to fund the government did the House Majority Leader Steve Scalise promise to bring her bill to the House floor in exchange for a vote. So she basically used some type of leverage there, right? Something that the Democrats are not willing to do for whatever reason. We've gone through that before. Such acts of obstinance probably got under Trump's skin, Green told me, but she then said it was Epstein. Epstein was everything. Listen to this. Trump indicated a willingness to release all the files pertaining to his former friend Epstein, who died in prison in 2019 while awaiting trial. Goes on to say here, the reason for her lack of concern. So this is a good question that the interviewer did ask her, why weren't you concerned about the Epstein files and the Epstein victims during Trump's first term? She explains that here. She said to me, might seem improbable to anyone who is unfamiliar with how the mainstream press and the right-wing media cover the same story differently or not at all. The story to me was that I'd seen pictures of Epstein with all these people, and Trump is just one of several. And then for me, I'd seen Bill Clinton is on the flight logs for his plane like 20-something times. So for people like me, it wasn't suspicious. And then we heard about the general stories of how Epstein used to be a member of Mar-a-Lago, but Trump kicked him out. Why would I think he did anything wrong, right? So this is the problem with corporate media and, of course, partisan politics. You have Fox News, which caters to the right. You have CNN and MS Now, apparently they are, that caters to what they
Ma nema
consider
tu
the left. I
desno
don't
lijevo,
consider
ili
the
je
Democrat Party
ispravno
left,
ili nije i
but they
gotovo.
cater to that side. If those networks weren't partisan, because they are, then maybe people could feel a little bit differently. Now, the people still belong to their respective parties, and a lot of times people are party loyalists and they're going to back them and defend them no matter what. But it doesn't help when corporate media is also doing the same thing. So if Fox News wasn't partisan, and if CNN and MS Now were not partisan,
Pa za to su
maybe people would
plaćeni.
feel a little bit differently. But when you have corporate media egging it along and just confirming that your right to defend your party, most people are not going to look elsewhere. And I've been seeing that for years. Everyone doesn't watch independent media. In fact, you know, a lot of the older voters, the numbers show that they don't.
Da.
But I see more people moving over towards the independent media space. And, you know, okay, I'm going to start listening to something else now. But if you only watch Fox News, if you only watch CNN and MS Now,
Brainwashing, ispiranje mozga, propaganda, čista propaganda od nje, s njihove strane. I za to dobivaju milijarde.
So there's that. Now, when people say, well, Sabs, well, then what does that mean about members of the squad? Well, with the squad, it was different because I was first introduced to members of what would be the squad through independent media. I saw AOC on independent media. I saw Cori Bush on independent media. Ayanna Pressley I already knew about because I live here, and she was already representing Boston in city council before she ran for Congress. But that's the big difference. It was independent media that I saw that was promoting the squad and Bernie Sanders at that point in time. So I think this is where corporate media has a responsibility, and they're not doing that responsibility. But at least she's willing to admit she was wrong. And I think that's what really stands out to me here. It's like, people are like, well, she went along with this for so long. And I get it. I totally get it. But at least she's willing to admit she's wrong.
No.
And, of course, maybe she does have political aspirations somewhere down the road. I don't know. But I would also say, going against Donald Trump, and if you do have political aspirations elsewhere, I'm not sure that would help you at this point in time. Not if you're a part of the Republican Party. Goes on to say here, for Green, the decades that Epstein spent eluding justice for exploiting and sexually assaulting countless girls and young women while amassing a fortune, and the seeming efforts by the government to cover up the injustice, represents everything wrong with Washington.
Mm-hmm.
This September, Green spoke with several of Epstein's victims for the first time in a closed-door House Oversight Committee meeting. She knew that the women had paid their own way to come to Washington. She saw some of them trembling and crying as they spoke. Their accounts struck her as entirely believable. Green herself had never been sexually abused, but she knew women who had. In her own small way, Green later told me she could understand what it was like for a woman to stand up to a powerful man. It says here, am I going to get murdered or one of my kids because he's calling me a traitor?
Čovječe.
A little bit
Eto što sekta prokleta, dijabolična radi. Strašno. Da se moraš bojati za život svoje djece ili svoj...
that she had been a victim of sexual assault. And she basically used that as her reasoning to be against the transgender bathrooms. Now, whatever people's belief on that, it is what it is. We have, here in Massachusetts and the Boston area, there's a number of businesses that have all gender restrooms, and their individual like stalls and all this kind of stuff. But I know some people don't feel comfortable with that because they have been victims of sexual abuse. So I understand that as well. But for someone like Nancy Mace, who spoke about what she went through and was able to use that to play into the culture war, it's very telling and very interesting to me that Nancy Mace did not join along MTG Thomas Massey and Rokana to release these Epstein files. So that right there told me everything I needed to know about Nancy Mace, that she was just willing to toe the party line, and all these, the vocalness that she had about what happened to her and protecting women, all of a sudden she wasn't willing to be vocal anymore because it could implicate people in her own party. And people need to pay attention to things like that. Let's get into what else Donald Trump told her, because everything wasn't revealed in that 60 minutes interview. So after the hearing, Green held a news conference at which she threatened to identify some of the men who had abused some of the women. Trump called Green to voice his displeasure. Green was in her Capitol Hill office, and according to a staff member, everyone in the suite of rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on the speakerphone. So Green goes on to say here, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." Let me highlight this here.
Njegovi prijatelji pedofili.
According to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." That's the significant thing here. In the 60 Minutes interview, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that Donald Trump told her people will get hurt. But now, in this interview, which apparently was long according to the journalist, now it's coming out, and now she is saying that he said his friends would get hurt. And now some people may say, well, do you believe her or Trump? Or, oh, I don't believe Marjorie Taylor Greene. Looking at the photos, I believe her. Because those are his friends. Those are his buddies.
Da.
So Donald Trump, as I said before, wants to protect his friends and also himself.
Da.
Forget those women. Don't worry about the women. My friends might get hurt.
Đubre
Let's go on a little bit
pedofilski.
more here. When she urged Trump to invite some of Epstein's female victims to the Oval Office, she says he angrily informed her that they had nothing to merit the honor. This is damning. So you see the way that Donald Trump talked about the Epstein victims, the women?
Pa to su I njegove
They had
žrtve.
nothing to merit the honor.
Isuse,
But all the guys who
dragi
participated
Bože,
in abusing these underage girls did have something to merit the honor, because Trump had no problem hanging around them.
I silovati
But he
dijete
couldn't
od
meet with
13 godina, oduzeti joj nevinost, smrad.
I told you guys like more was going to come out about this. It's all coming out. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, on her way out,
2026 će
she's
biti
going out
zanimljiva.
swinging. It would be the last conversation Greene and Trump would ever have.
Pakao za
Rather than back
zlostavljača.
down, Greene did something she had never done before as a congresswoman. She teamed up with a Democrat, Rokana, as well as Republican Thomas Massey. So, what does that tell you guys?
Ovaj Masi
My friends
je
would get
izvrstan
hurt.
čovjek, izvrstan.
What does that tell you? So Donald Trump trying to protect his friends. If you haven't had the chance to do so, read this article. It's rather long. So check it out when you get a chance to do so. And
Ehud
one more
Barak,
part here.
posebno
Green told me that
čudovište
she began to
satansko.
worry that her beloved MAGA movement was going off the rails. Its leading figures were no longer preoccupied with pressing economic needs for her constituents. Instead, they were bickering over the Epstein files. How did all of this end up to a point where it was about releasing the files about women who were sexually assaulted and not the serious things that I think truly matter about helping to get our economy stabilized again, help reduce the cost of living, fix the housing market, fix health insurance. For the love of God, what the
Užas,
is the matter
užas,
with these people?
užas jedan.
It's called behavior. It's called behavior. This is one of the problems with political parties. This is something that the founding fathers, by the way, did not want. They did not want political parties because of something like this possibly happening, where people would back the party no matter what, instead of the policies that they supposedly support. And this is what you have here. For all these years, we've heard about the Republican Party saying that they're this party of family values, and Donald Trump is a part of that party, but he tells you, apparently, that he didn't want to talk to those women because they did nothing of merit. And that's the smoking gun, ladies and gentlemen. So for people who were wondering if, they're not sure how they feel about Trump in this Epstein situation, whether you believe he did something to these women or not, one thing I think you need to pay attention to is the fact that he told Marjorie Taylor Greene he did not want to talk to those women because they did nothing of merit.
Đubre.
Now, people can't be surprised, and I say this is the reason why. If you can just shrug your shoulders and send weapons to Israel repeatedly, watching them kill all these kids, and you can just shrug your shoulders and say, whatever, I'm just going to let Israel do whatever they want, why would he give a damn about these women? Trump cares about Trump and only Trump. And for the people who thinks that he cares about them, he doesn't. He just wants you to bow to him and be loyal to him. And the moment that you choose not to do that, you're a traitor, just like he said Marjorie Taylor Greene is. So people ask me, do I believe this? What do I believe? I'll be honest with you. I believe her. I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's telling the truth here. I think she's telling the truth. And the party may not like it. Some of the voters may not like what she's doing. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, at least she can sit back and say, I admitted when I was wrong.
Da.
I admitted I was wrong. And Donald Trump will never do that. I wonder if there's going to be more to come. Hey guys, this was a...
Preko 1200 žrtava se javilo, znači za koje se zna. A šta tek za one koje se ne zna. Tako da čudovište je gotov, nadam se da je gotov, jako je puno toga u igri i na kocki, jako puno dokumenata, to su milijoni dokumenata, fajlova koje FBI uništava, brišu Trumpovo ime, mislim pa ne možete sad, ne može se istina sakrit. Isto kao što se u Hrvatskoj, gdje su dokumenti, zašto su dokumenti odnešeni u Beograd? Sva dokumentacija ukradena iz Hrvatske ima da se vrati u Hrvatsku. Znači to je mafija, evo u Hrvatskoj je mafija, ljudi moji, na vlasti. Mafija, prokleta, satanistička sekta je na vlasti, eto. To mogu reći. I kad govorim o tome, onda opisujem karakter. A to je ono što radi Andrej Plenković u Hrvatskoj. Znači, ne možeš iseliti skoro 1 milion radno sposobnih Hrvata i svjesno radite to što radite preko otvorenog društva, preko Soroša koje vam prokleta satona milijarde ima za to što radi. Znači, da uništi nezavisne države, da uništi jezik, kulturu, njemu je to igra. Njemu je to Soton, je to jednostavno igra, on je to sam priznao, da on ne vjeruje u Boga, da on vjeruje da je on Bog. On je Bog, on je taj koji odlučuje šta je moralno, šta nije moralno i šta se može, šta se ne može raditi, šta se treba i ne treba raditi. Tako da ta čudovišta su u vlasti moći i eto, imaju novac, imaju te, pogotovo ovaj tehnobros, ovaj Elon Musk, Zuckerberg i ti šta korčine, onaj kak se zove, kaj je TikTok kupio, isto smrad. Znači, to je antikrist, ljudi moji. A ovi koji vam propovijedaju ovo prosperity evanđelje, oni su vam dio te antikristove mreže. Jer Sotona je rekao Isusu, ako mi se pokloniš, daću ti sva kraljevstva na svijetu, jer su meni predana, meni. Razumijete? Tako da ovi koji vam guraju pod nos to prosperity gospel, evanđelje takozvano prosperiteta, ali vam polako na kapeljku vas uče da je biblijski, pod navodnicima, njima davati 10% vašeg prihoda, takozvani desetak. I polako vas uvlače u svoju zamku, u te crkve, u te zajednice, tralala, i na kraju se nađete, niste ni svjesni da ste dio sekte ili ti kulta koji ima predznak kršćanstva. Znači, svi se oni pozivaju na Krista i na Isusa i citiraju Bibliju i tako dalje. Pogotovo ako nisi upućen, ako nisi sam nikada čitao, studirao ili ne znam šta, vrlo lako je čovjeka zavest, pogotovo koji je gladan i žedan istine i Boga, ne? Tako da čuvajte se, čitajte sami za sebe i molite se Bogu da vam on rastumači. I uvijek čitajte u kontekstu. Nikada nemojte dozvoliti nikome, nikada i ničemu, da vam oni tumače nešto. Znači, uvijek čitaj pritekst, tekst i posttekst. Znači, to je kontekst, celina. Znači, celina. Što je pisac htio reći, kome se obraća, kada se obraća, u kojem kontekstu se obraća i tako dalje i tako dalje. Tako da nemojte dopustiti da vam neko drugi tumači stvari koje vi imate zdrav razum da sami protumačite. I na kraju krajeva Bog će vam u tome pomoći ako ste stvarno gladni istine, ne? Eto, to je bilo uglavnom to. Pred očima cijeloga svijeta se sad ovo je edukacija. Edukacija i informacija su ključ. Tako da vjerujem da će se otvoriti vrata i u Hrvatskoj. Evo, zato molim Boga da se otvore vrata i u Hrvatskoj, da se počnu pozivati stručnjaci kao što je dr. Steven Hassan. Samo malo jer ga imam tu negdje. Znači, ovaj čovjek je jako dobar. On je stručnjak za kultove i sekte, on je bio isto uvučen sa 19 godina u Munijevce. Evo, to vam je ono. Cult of Trump.
Hi everybody, Dr. Steve Hassan. I just spontaneously decided to do a short Substack Live, and as people are joining, holding up a copy of my book that came out originally in 2019 and was re-released in 2024.
Zašto ovo u Hrvatskoj nije prevedeno?
And an afterword by myself. And I'm
The Cult of Trump by Steven Hassan, Dr. Steven Hassan.
Today, as we're ending 2025 and looking at 2026, and I have some very important thoughts that I'd like to share based on my 50 years, that's right, 50 years since being deprogrammed from the Moonies. In fact, May 11th is my 50th
50 godina je prošlo od kad je izašao iz kulta, bio je fanatik, kaže.
And I really was inspired to do this because I read Robert Draper's magazine profile on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I got to admit, I was much more skeptical when I first heard her resignation message. But seeing her on Bill Maher, seeing her on The View, and now listening to this interview, I really think that so much is happening with her. And it seems to me like her coming back to core values and remembering that she's a woman
Marjorie Taylor Greene,
that got recruited through the
koja je izašla iz Trumpovog kulta.
saying that there was a massive trafficking conspiracy done by the Democrats.
Na prvo je nije vjerovao, ali
And
sad
there
vjeruje
is a
da je
massive
doživjela taj
trafficking
aha moment.
conspiracy, but involves both Democrats and Republicans and libertarians and atheists and all kinds of other people, including Russian intelligence apparently and Israeli intelligence.
Bravo.
There's so much
On je inače Židov.
that we really need to
Jako dobar čovjek,
cover
zdravorazumski.
quickly and say mind control is not 100%. And as I've been describing and combating called mind control,
govori i o kontroli uma.
The person's core self gets hacked by a cult programmed identity
Hakiranje mozga,
that's
identiteta
formulated in the image of the leader and the ideology.
na sliku
But there's
vođe.
dissonance, there's conflict between the cult programmed identity and the
Dolazi
real
do
self.
konflikta
And it's family and friends and caring people
između
who are
prave
good
osobe
listeners,
i
asking
kult
questions
osobe.
in a respectful way that can help people to reality test and realize that even though they
Obitelj to
didn't think
primijeti
they were
promjene kod čovjeka.
brainwashed, they actually were. And what helped me back in '76 was learning about Chinese communist brainwashing. And Robert Lifton's book, Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, that was published in 1961. And his 8 criteria in chapter 22.
Zašto toga u Hrvatskoj niko
We
ne
went
govori
through
o
all
tome?
8 with the Moonies, and the Moonies did all 8. And it was weird as a Moonie because we were God,
Upitnik da li
they
si
were
u
Satan,
kultu ili ne.
but we were doing the same Chinese communist brainwashing techniques.
Iste tehnike.
This led to an entire
Iste
career of
tehnike.
mine, writing 5 books, doing a doctorate, doctoral dissertation on how to update the law regarding undue influence.
Da, zakon mora biti
And so my message is
svjestan
this:
šta se tu događa.
we need to have hope, we need to be grateful, we need to be focused on doing something every day within our own capacity. Some people are creatives, they can write songs, they can do pictures, they can write poetry. Some people are gifted in other ways. Some people have financial reserves that instead of giving it to a generation that may not have freedom to enjoy it, to start investing in a very coordinated strategic plan. And from my point of view, having written The Cult of Trump, the only solution to psychological warfare, especially with Zuckerberg and Musk and Thiel and Bezos and Andreessen, coordinating for this network state authoritarian vision, we need to get together and get our messaging correct. And that is, we've been hacked. Our minds have been hacked. It's been a 50-year project to take down the United States of America.
Da.
It's been systematic. There are very well-established bad actors.
Dulje od 50
And those of
godina,
us
200
who have
godina.
been active citizens researching and sharing information amongst ourselves, we have a lot to say. But the critical thing is understanding we're social beings, we're emotional beings, and we're in psychological warfare as being assaulted
psihološki
on
rat.
us as things are getting dismantled.
Informacijama,
With
dezinformacijama.
outrage is not the solution. The solution is widespread psychoeducation.
Tako je, edukacija,
Really
bravo.
studying the influence continuum, studying the bite model of authoritarian control.
Bravo. To Hrvatskoj treba pod
Listening
hitno,
and
ljudi moji.
platforming more former members who either had left a totalitarian dictatorship like the Soviet Union or China or any number of other despotic
Poziv
countries,
psiholozima,
or people
psihijatrima,
born and raised in
sociolozima,
authoritarian
sucima,
religious
odvjetnicima,
cults
policiji.
or therapy
Educirajte
cults.
se, ljudi.
We have a message that is able to convey with heart
Tvoje dijete su
how
u pitanju
our
danas
minds
sutra.
got bent and how we were disconnected from our hearts, from our conscience, from our ability to think for ourselves and reality test. So I'm very hopeful with Marjorie Taylor Greene in this article. We have a chance to help millions exit MAGA. Millions. But it's going to take strategic messaging. I've been doing some videos of
70
how not to
miliona
talk to
samo u
your MAGA
Americi.
loved one and how to talk to your
Sljedbenika
MAGA
taj
loved one.
luđak pedofil
There
ima.
really is
70
methodology
miliona,
that
ljudi
works
moji.
to understanding it's a dissociative disorder. And so
Užas.
roll up your sleeves and start
Plenković
learning
ga
and not
podržava.
just spending
Užas
time
i
doom
Izrael.
scrolling, but learning and practicing how to talk effectively with people who are still in MAGA. It's not by attacking Trump, it's not with facts, it's not with logic, it's with warm engagement, respectful, active listening, drawing them out, asking them to go back in time to their earliest memories of Trump and whether they liked him or trusted him.
Moj doktore.
What forces change their mind that need.
Ljudi koji su tako uhvaćeni u tu zamku, to je jako, jako gadna mentalna zamka, neki nikad ne izađu. To je ko da ti je neko, to je vraćarstvo, kak je rekao Pavle Galačanima. Nerazumni, glupi Galačani, kova začara. Znači, lažima, varkama, čarkama, kroz lažna učenja su ljude uhvatili u zamku. Ja znam ljude koji jednostavno su prolupali skroz od toga svega. I ti ne možeš doprijeti do takvog čovjeka, do te osobe, ne možeš, zato što jednostavno nemaju razvijeno kritičko razmišljanje. Jer im je usađeno da sve što je negativno i kritičko je od sotone. Tako da ti nikad ne propitkuješ njihova učenja, njihovo ponašanje, mada ti je sve očito. Ti to vidiš, ti si toga svjestan i tu dolazi do unutarnjeg konflikta. Znači, baš mi je jedna osoba trenutno na umu. Non stop je po psihijatriji, mislim, sramota čovječe. Muškarac, 4 djece, niti alimentaciju plaća, niti ništa, ali jednostavno, ne znam šta je potrebno za takve ljude. Ja imam svoju metodu, ja znam šta bi ja napravila. Ja bi ga spljuskala ko konja, bi ga spljuskala, dođe k sebi, Niko nikad u životu valjda nije rekao što znači biti muškarac i učiti ga da bude muškarac, nego je slušao bajke tamo. Kak će biti uspješan, kak će ovo, kak će ono. Ma nemoj mi reći, kaj znači biti uspješan? Toga niko nije učio. Šta znači biti muž? Šta znači biti otac? Šta znači biti odgovoran? Šta znači brinuti se za obitelj? Voljeti svoju ženu? Kao što je Krist volio crkvu, sam sebe predao za nju. Mislim, strašne stvari su to, ljudi moji. To vam se događa po tim vjerskim zajednicama. U rimokatoličkoj crkvi ima isto jako puno toga. Isto imaju te nekakve svoje grupe, podgrupe i šta ja znam, savjetovanja, svašta sam čula da se događa iz prve ruke, tako da nisu naklapanja, nisu klevete, nego stvarni životi, stvarni ljudski, svakodnevni događaji i životi koje ljudi doživljavaju i prolaze. Tako da ja vjerujem da će 26. godina biti još veća godina čišćenja, Božja metla je tu i jednostavno niko se neće uspjeti sakriti. Eto, toliko za sada, pozdrav.